I'm almost drowning in her sea. She's near me, falling. Way home. Way home. Leads back to the street. From the body. Hang on, yeah. Remember, hides it whenever we meet. The way now, don't really care. I'm gone from there. I'm almost drowning in her sea. She's near me, falling. While you're patient. Down on her knees. Down on her knees. Way home leads back to the street. I'm just another rider, burned to the ground. Come something.
Right. Welcome, everybody. How's it going tonight? I am running lonesome tonight. Amy had a something come up with her kid, so no big deal. My hair looks great. I was like coming on here and just making a fool of myself anyway. So tonight, well, let's go through what we're going to talk about tonight. I really, really like. One of the things that we have to start getting out there, I think, as just chiropractors in general, there's much more to it than just the pain portion of it. And I want to go through with my 1% tribe the aspect of understanding the framework. So like right now we've done a lot of cool things like in 1% tribe, learning like the herbs and the movements and those kind of patterns. But one of the things that we have to get is a baseline of thought. And so tonight is more about that thinking process of the thinking, the thought, like what's our foundation? What's our foundation in thinking? And so we're going to talk about that tonight in how holistic chiropractic in particular is so much different in their philosophy of health and healing than anything you'll probably get exposed to. And so I've got a few cool videos from some really good speakers. Hopefully it won't bore you and hopefully it'll make sense. Because tonight is about laying that foundation to the understanding of the statement that I'm going to say right now is nature needs no help, just no interference. And so that's a big, profound statement. And it takes a different mindset, as we go, that you'll have to understand going forward. And then decisions in your health become much, much easier because you have this foundational framework of the body is perfect, what is making it unperfect? And it's almost as simple as that, but there's a lot more to it that you could add to make it your major foundation of who you are as you go through. I have this symptom. Why is this symptom occurring? Is it because I know I'm perfect? So why is this symptom occurring? And so we start looking at the inner part. Why is that not working? And then it opens you up to this world of trying to not understand the condition you have, which is what a lot of people do currently. How is your body functioning is the bigger question. And so that's what hopefully we'll get to tonight. So before that, I have a few little digs that I did this week. Some of them were kind of new. It's not as good as last week, as far as that goes. I am reading some masterful gut bacteria stuff, so I can't wait to get back to that topic. Speaking of that, if you do have those type of issues, come talk to Amy and I. Um, we've had some really, really good luck with many patients now of helping with that condition, like where we can kind of give you guidance in that direction. So if you know somebody struggling with those kind of things, much more to it, but once the understanding is there, then it's yours forever, and you get to learn like what those pieces are as you go. So I'm learning a ton right now on like different things we can add and those kind of things. So anyway, so the first one, a lot of people have heard this, but it's true. Coffee increases metabolism. It actually activates, there's different kinds of what they call adipose tissue, which is like fat cells, but this one's called the brown adipose tissue. And so it activates the cells to help with your metabolism. So remember that when you're doing coffee. The problem is my listeners think that coffee is some kind of hot chocolate thing. No, no, it's beans and water. My office staff cracks me up. They think that my black coffee pot that I have is is not really coffee, and I don't have to worry about anyone stealing it. Let's say that because it's a little black, it's a little probably too much caffeine could also do the other way. So just remember that as you go. It's kind of one of those out that you're like, yeah, coffee's good for you, but that is awesome. So just remember that. The other one that you can help family members with in any kind of surgery, any kind of recovery of injuries, curcumin. So curcumin is the substance in like a turmeric, a ginger. You have black pepper is another one that has a lot of curcumin in it. That those type of supplements or herbals can actually give you good recovery from a lot of those different injuries. Let's say, I'll put somebody on, let's say they have knee replacement and the knee replacement's not going great. As far as like recovery goes, the knee replacement went well, but the inflammation around that is just not taken. A lot of times I will, offer that. So you offer something with curcumin in it. There's a lot of stuff on the market. We have a really good one now at the office, or we've had it for a while, but it's a really good one if you want to think about that. Okay. So then the last little bit before we get started is niacinamide. Niacinamide is the thing that says NAD plus. You'll see it a lot in your supplementation situations. Your NAD plus is great for weight loss. So it's it's not only weight loss, metabolism. NAD plus is a really good supplement overall for just your overall health. Remember that as you go, and hopefully we will see, as it goes. So those are the three I have for you today. It was a little light on the old research, but I got kind of dove into this gut bacteria information. So hopefully next week I will have a lot more. So why this sparked? Are you ready to see why we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about tonight? Because chiropractic is not the thing I'm about to show you. All right, let's see if I can do this. Oh, it's not going to be as impactful. Hang on. Nope. Oh, there we go. All right, and go.
Okay, now I'm gonna clear your airways.
All right, now you're gonna want to relax your hip bone like.
All right, we're gonna loosen your spine a little bit. Okay, you might feel a little pinch.
All right, you might feel this one a little bit in your toes. Now we're gonna do a big crack on 3. 1.
All right, reach and touch your toes. Oh, you can do better than that. All right, you're gonna feel a little pressure in your neck.
All right, you might feel a little tingling in your neck.
All right, relax your jaw real quick. Okay, now I'm gonna clear your airways.
All right, now you're gonna want to relax your hip bone like.
All right, we're gonna loosen your spine a little bit. Okay, you might.
All right, let's see if I can do this.
This is Johnson, so no one's been able to crack your neck. Well, you've been going to the wrong chiropractors. I'll take care of that for you today. All right. Just try to head this way just a little bit. Perfect. Really give me the weight of your head. Wonderful. Take a nice big breath in. Let it all go. This is Johnson, so no one's been able to crack your neck. Well, you've been going to the wrong chiropractor.
This dog was having mobility issues.
This is my
He was taken
favorite,
to a
just to let you know.
chiropractor to help him, and
This
his
is my
reaction
favorite.
when the chiropractor did the crack is hilarious. His eyes went wide open in shock, not knowing what just happened, looking like he just got restarted. The chiropractor then asked him, was that good? And he gave him a smile. This dog was having mobility issues, so he was taken to a chiropractor to help him, and his reaction when the chiropractor did the crack is hilarious. His eyes went wide open in shock, not knowing what just happened, looking like he just got restarted. The chiropractor.
So hopefully you like those. I will. And one of the things that I love is, yes, that's good that people are watching and getting more curious about chiropractic, based on these crazy noises they put on the YouTube video. A lot of times, sometimes it can sound like that, but for the most part, I don't want to scare anybody. It doesn't have to, right? So that was always my fascination. But right now, that is a big trend, to see that, and like those understandings. And don't get me wrong, there could be some good stuff to that. The problem is that that's not the singular focus of what chiropractic does when you come in, right? So we have to get to a point where we understand that the reason this is happening with your spine is that there's something not correct. There's something off of perfect. And so what we're trying to do with the spine, with no drugs, no surgery, nothing except for what you have already. We try to put things back to where they need to go in a is great in a good energetic force as possible. Okay, so a lot of times they're jokingly, you see those all the time. There's some crazy stuff out there on the YouTube and all that stuff. So I kind of roll my eyes at some respects, but what's cool is people are asking questions now, right? So now that people are making fun of it and those kind of things, we can see, those kind, like those kind of videos, they're kind of a double-edged sword. Some people will be scared, like we don't know what we're doing, and then the others won't understand, like some will be like coming in just based on that. So what I wanted to do tonight was to show you guys some videos of some chiropractic. I'm going to start with my favorite guy. If you notice, I'm trying to do his sideburns. So these are going to be some kind of oldies but goodies, and I hope you guys enjoy them as much as I do. So I appreciate everybody. If you don't, it's okay. I'm just trying it, and I apologize up front. So let's get into that now.
And it cleared up on the chiropractic. Is the question of what kind of diseases can chiropractic cure? You remember when you first came into a chiropractor's office, or the first time you heard about chiropractic, you thought, well, maybe they're all right for backaches or stiff legs. And then people start telling you strange things. Somebody says, well, I took my daughter to the chiropractor and he cured her menstrual cramps. And somebody else comes along and says, I had psoriasis for 17 years. and it cleared up under chiropractic care. And somebody else said, yes, well, he cured my gallstone. Somebody says he cured my diabetes, heart disease, multiple sclerosis, migraine headaches, chronic constipation, ulcers, indigestion. If you sit there long enough and listen to some of these claims, you will suspect that chiropractors are claiming they can cure everything from leprosy to ingrown toenails. And as a new patient, you must ask yourself, what kind of diseases can they really cure? I thought I'd like to answer that. Because the answer is very simple. No chiropractor anywhere ever cured anything. Chiropractors can't cure disease. And medical doctors can't cure disease. Anything that is ever cured is cured by the living body, not by doctors. We're in such a rush to give credit where it isn't due. When you get sick, you always want to treat the disease instead of letting your body do it. If you cut your finger, you run to the iodine bottle, you pour on iodine, you wrap it in bandage, you shoot the arm full of penicillin, the other arm gets a tetanus shot, and a week later you take off the bandage and it's all healed. Do you really think iodine and bandage and penicillin will heal a cut? If you think that, tomorrow morning get down to the butcher shop and buy yourself a steak and bring it home and cut it. Pour on some iodine, wrap it in bandage, shoot it full of whatever you want. The steak won't heal, will it? Of course. And you say, well, now you're being ridiculous. Of course the steak won't heal because it's not alive. But that's the point. Let's stop giving credit where it isn't due. Life heals, not doctors. All the scientists in the world put together couldn't heal a blade of grass. And yet your living body, as you sit here right now, is making living flesh and blood out of the food you had for lunch today. What I want to do tonight is totally destroy your faith in doctors of all kinds, because not one of them can cure anything. And I want to give you some faith through understanding. I want to give you some confidence through common sense, through knowledge of this great, fantastic body of yours. You are the doctor. Built into you is all of the wisdom of nature. And that wisdom that the chiropractor calls the innate intelligence of life knows all there is to know about healing. No doctor can cure anything. You and you alone can heal. In fact, if your body were working right, you wouldn't have got sick in the first place. Let's discuss just how great this body of yours is. I'll give you one example. And if that one example doesn't convince you, then I'm going to quit. Let's think for a moment about the start of a new human being, the union of two little cells. Now, there's a little female egg cell about the size of a dot made by a fine-pointed pencil, so minute you can barely see it with the naked eye. That meets up with a male sperm cell that's even tinier. Well, maybe a little smarter, but smaller. Sorry, girls. Two little cells get together, and from this, a whole human being is going to be formed. As the one cell now, as it's united, one cell gets a little bigger and divides into two. Divides into 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, just keeps multiplying. And then when it looks like a little mulberry, somehow it knows to change. Remember, they all started out from one cell. They should all be the same, shouldn't they? And yet now, certain of the cells begin to change. And this little mulberry-looking mass gets a dent along one side that the scientist calls the primitive streak. That primitive streak is going to become the first organ of the human body. You know what the first organ is? Always. Fascinates me as a chiropractor to know that the first organ to develop is always the brain and the spinal cord. Now, I wondered why. So I turned to the medical physiology textbook. And Halliburton's textbook in medical physiology states, the brain and the spinal cord are the first to form because they're the master control system of the body that will regulate and control the function of every other system from then on. But then, as though around an invisible skeleton, with no doctors around to tell it what to do, no scientists, no PhDs, no surgeons, no pediatricians, this little speck of light knows how to form a perfect human being. And in 280 80 days, nature has done her job and a perfect being is born. Now, do you assume for one moment that the wisdom that designed this perfection quits when the baby is born? The baby is born may be weighing 6.5 pounds and is 20 inches long. And is going to grow up to be 6 feet tall and weigh 180 pounds. And everything will grow proportionally. You think it's luck that there are 2 holes in the skin just where the eyes come? Or is there some planning here? How do the fingers know how long to grow? They don't just keep growing. Somehow they know there's an inner wisdom that tells them when to quit. The heart cells grow to exactly the right shape and size to form a heart. And the liver cells always stay in the liver. They never go into the eye. So apparently the wisdom that created this body, that which the chiropractor calls the innate intelligence, the inborn wisdom of life, it's still there even after you're born. And it regulates your growth all the way until you're fully grown. But now when you're fully grown, can we now assume that nature quit? Now it's time for doctors? The wisdom that created your body is still there. In fact, if you understand this next part, you'll understand everything there is to know about health and healing. I said earlier that in order for your body to be healthy, the 25 to 30 quadrillion cells must be doing their job. That there are highly specialized cells, and if they're not doing their job, then the job won't get done. I also said that this body, when it's working right, can last 120 to 150 years. That apparently is nature's scheme of things for human beings. But the individual cells, they don't last 120 years. You know how long your cells last? If I brush my hands, I brush off millions of dead cells, and new ones grow from inside to replace them. Your body is constantly replacing itself at the rate of about 3 billion every 60 seconds. As you sit here right now, your heart cells are dying. But don't worry about it, because as one dies, nature makes a new one to replace it out of what you had for lunch today or breakfast this morning. It's estimated that heart cells live about 90 days, and then they die. Red blood cells last about 120 days, and then they die, and they're replaced. And by the time 14 months has gone by, all of the vital organs have been replaced. And it takes about 7 years to replace the entire body, bones and all. Every 7 years, you have a brand new body. Now that means if you've been married 21 years, you're on your 3rd wife already. Yeah? The last time I said that in a lecture, somebody said, yeah, if she's my 3rd wife, how come she's so much like the other 2? But there is a reason for that. While the whole body is replacing itself, as far as science knows, there's one part of the body that does not get replaced. The brain and the spinal cord. Apparently, they have to last you all of your life. Now, this is interesting. The brain and the spinal cord are the first system to be developed. According to Halliburton's textbook of medical physiology, they are the master control system which regulates everything in the entire body. Now we find out they have to last you the rest of your life. Every other part of your body is replaceable, except the brain and the spinal cord. Do you think it might be a good idea to take care of your brain and spinal cord? That's all chiropractic wants you to do. We say, since every part of your body can be replaced except the brain and spinal cord, and since the brain and spinal cord, if they are working properly, will regulate the proper growth of everything else, you don't have to worry about sick organs. Medicine has failed for thousands of years because it's trying to cure sick cells. Chiropractic says if you have sick cells in your body, let them die. Pretty soon they're going to be replaced by new cells. Now, if the new cells come in strong and healthy, as the old ones die out, then disease passes from the picture. But if the new cells that are born just as sick as the old ones, then the disease goes on, and you'll never get it. And this is where chiropractic comes into the picture. We don't want to cure your sick cells. We just want to make sure that all the new cells that are born are given a fighting chance to be born healthy. Let's take a very quick look at the anatomy of this brain of ours. Because it's the most vital organ in the body, it's given special protection. Nature surrounds it by solid bone, the skull, the cranial vault. But you'll notice the brain is not totally enclosed. Did you know you have a hole in your head? Well, you really do. I can see some of you don't believe it. Let me show you on our little demonstrator here. Up on top of the spine is the skull, the base of the skull. And as I tilt it forward, you can see there's a large hole right here in the bottom. And you too have a large hole in the bottom of your head. Of course, it's not very scientific to say you have a hole in your head. So in science, we give that a name in Latin. It's called the foramen magnum, which means large hole. Now, through that hole, the brain extends all the way down the length of the body. But because it's just as important down here as it is up top, it too is surrounded by bone. Inside the bone of the spine runs this extension of the brain called the spinal cord. Millions upon millions of nerve fibers. But if the spine were just one piece, you wouldn't be able to bend or twist or turn. So old Mother Nature, in her wisdom, has taken this bone and cut it up in pieces. 24 movable segments called vertebrae. And now that spine is flexible. Let's take another look at the bones of the spine. From the pelvis or the hip bones at the bottom, the sacrum, the little triangular portion that forms the base of the spine with a little coccyx or tailbone underneath. And on top of that, the 24 movable vertebrae or parts of the spine. And inside, where this flexible conduit is shown, in your body, the spinal cord connects the brain with all parts of the body by running inside the bones of the spine, and between each pair of bones, there's an opening through which nerve branches pass out. Millions upon millions of nerve fibers from the brain branch out into the other parts of the body. And when they get out here, they divide and redivide and subdivide and make a network of nerves all over the body. Each one of those nerve fibers is about 100 times thinner than a human hair. And over those nerves passes the nerve energy, the electrical energy that keeps your body going. Every single part of your body, in order to work, needs a good nerve supply from the spine. Now the kidney. Over the kidney is the adrenal gland, the liver. They only work properly if they have a nerve supply from the spine. So does the gallbladder, the spleen, the pancreas, the reproductive organs, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the toes, the fingers, either directly or indirectly. Your body is an entire network of little chemical factories. And in order for you to be healthy, all of those little chemical factories must be working properly. And they all interrelate to each other. Now, what does all of that have to do with chiropractic? Just this. Every organ gets its nerve supply through the spine. And that's fine as long as the spine is in its proper position. We take so much for granted, sometimes we forget the beauty of nature's structure. Have you ever thought how your fingers just happen to fit your hand? They wouldn't fit the person next to you because they're custom made for you. Your eyes are exactly the right shape and size, your eye socket. Otherwise, every time you look down, you lose something. Everything fits. And exactly the same is true of the bones of the spine. They're so perfectly shaped that when the bones are in their proper position, the openings are exactly the right shape and size for the nerves which come through to the organs. But if something should happen to your spine, if one of those bones should become misaligned, twisted out of place, even minutely, that's what a chiropractor calls a subluxation. Let's see the damage that can do. This is a sketch reproduced from a photograph to be found in the textbook of neurosurgery. And it shows 4 of the bones of the spine. You'll notice these 2 are lined up neatly, one in front of the other. The disc in between them is of good shape and size, nice and even all the way through. The bones are even.
Views on this and
All right. So that was, sorry about that. Forgot to cut off right there. So as we're talking about this, hopefully that came through okay. So as we talk about it, he said something so profound that we must understand that. There's a lot there. Hopefully you guys got to hear it. Dr. Reggie Gold is like one of my favorites to ever listen to. The amount of talks he's done, and he's legendary in our chiropractic world. But one of the things that happens, and it's fascinating in my world, is you'll have somebody come in with a condition. Let's say, I'll give you an example of a nurse. So a nurse comes in, she has two twin boys. This is a true story. This started with actually Dr. Geimer. One of the reasons I got into chiropractic was this story. After hearing it, I was like, I'm sold. She started bringing her children in to get adjusted with her. She has two healthy twin boys, just once in a while getting them adjusted, right? So they loved the process, and getting checked was really cool. So they did that, and as time went on, that year, 2 years, they had been diagnosed with asthma. So these kids had been diagnosed with asthma a year prior to that. As they got improvement, as they started adjusting, the mom noticed that that wasn't even a condition anymore. Was it the chiropractor fixing the asthma? Absolutely not. The human body was able to work right. The nervous system that he talked about, right? So we remember we can regenerate everything. So we can regenerate cells 120 days. Like he said, all your outside organs are new things in 21 years, right? So, or it's every 7 years, you get a new, all these different organs because all the cells are different. And that should help us understand how to take care of that, right? So, as you do that, though, the one thing that doesn't change, and that's why it's such a big injury, is spinal cord and nerve injuries, spinal cord and brain injuries, basically. So, when you look at chiropractic as a whole, the biggest thing, and I think it's the simplest and most profound, is make sure your spine and nervous system are working at its best. Because what can it do? Could it help that asthma, take it to the next level so that your body can heal itself? The amount of diabetic type situations that you see just in adjusting the spine, and their numbers get better. One of my favorite stories of all time was a lady that had COPD really bad. Sweetheart lady. Her the pulse ox would get down to like 80, almost like no, and you could tell those days. Well, in her she had a pulmonologist that she'd see on a regular basis. That pulmonologist actually noticed it more than I did. Well, she knew when she got adjusted, she could breathe better. That's basically what we did. We never did the pulse ox reading, but then one day we had adjusted her, and then she went to her doctor's office or the pulmonologist visit right after. And so the pulmonologist is like, "Where your numbers are really fantastic." She's like, "Well, I always feel good after the chiropractor." And so from there, the pulmonologist was like, keep going, because your numbers, she'd go from 80. And so we started doing it in the pulse ox. She'd go to 80. After the adjustment, she'd be out in her 90s, like 98, 96, those kind of things. Wonderful numbers. And, we just laugh about it because she was so into the chiropractic philosophy that she understood she was coming to get adjusted, whether she was ailing or not, or those kind of things. That's sometimes the pain of not being able to breathe, not be able to move where she wanted to, would bring her around. But the biggest thing was that it's a philosophy of the entire body. If we take care of that nervous system in the way it's supposed to be taken care of, things start to help. Things start to turn the corner, right? And so we see that a lot with, there might be a condition you're really slow progressing with, like a knee injury or something even bigger than that. I could give you all these different ones, but getting adjusted in that time frame allows your body to, your nervous system to work properly. And when that body starts working properly, you're able to heal better because all of your directions from that brain and spinal cord and nervous system are in there. So I hope you enjoyed that. Dr. Reggie Gold is amazing. Starts from the infant that little tiny perfect baby. And then as we take care of that little nervous system as they grow up, a lot of things change and a lot of these different processes go. Ask any parent that's ever had their baby adjusted. That is a really cool process that a lot of people are freaked out about. But once a mom has done it, they bring all the kids because it's not what you think. It's checking the spine, making sure the spine and nervous system are working as it should. And once that happens, life changes for that kid for the better, and we see it all the time. So I'm going to do another couple philosophy ones. Let's see if I can find, I got to, not this one.
And it cleared up on the
Oh,
final-
sorry guys. I'm going to do this one because Dr. Chestnut is an awesome guy. I've met him many times. Just to give you a background, he's a Canadian, so it's tough. As we go though, he has a really good little talk here. I'll let him speak.
If you continue to believe, and if you allow your patients and family and the people you love to continue to believe that they are sick because they are born weak, you are a lifelong victim and you are a lifelong dependent. As long as they believe that, they will find it rational to believe that the solution is to take a drug to override their own regulatory systems. Because honestly, if genes do cause illness, if we are born genetically predetermined to get sick, then we can never prevent it. It's a waste of time, energy, and resources, which is exactly why medicine spends no time, energy, or resources on wellness and prevention. Because if your model is that the human being in front of you is sick because of pathological self-function or because of genetic predetermination, then it makes no sense to spend any of your time, money, energy, or resources on preventing that illness or getting that person well. The best chance you have to improve the quality of life of that person who's genetically predetermined to be sick is to palliate them with a drug and override their system as long as you can until they die. Do people who get chronic illness and go on medication get well? Is that even their argument? It's not their argument. They don't even pretend that. They don't even pretend. All they do is they convince you that you're born weak and sick. They convince you that your best chance is to palliate and to override your body's own abilities because they are inherently incapable of regulating yourself. Now, if I were going to talk to you about the difference between the allopathic or medical point of view and the chiropractic point of view, that's the difference. What's the major difference? We're right, they're wrong. Based on science. Not based on some kind of philosophy from D.D. Palmer or B.J. Palmer. D.D. Palmer and B.J. Palmer didn't discover the fact that we're self-healing and self-regulating. They recognized the fact that we're self-healing and self-regulating. These concepts, although espoused by one profession only, really, properly, which is chiropractic, which is I'm so proud to be a chiropractor, why we have such ability to save life. Although these things are espoused by us above all else, we did not create these ideas. We've simply been the only healthcare profession that recognized them and withstood the onslaught from Rockefeller and the Flexner Report and said, we're not giving in and going drugs. We need to stop blaming our genes or our lack of intelligence for our problems and start taking responsibility. But the worst thing that can happen to a system that depends on customers who have no power and total dependence is them becoming empowered with the idea that they can take responsibility for their own health.
All right. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That's more of the serious side of things because that is where we've got to come to grips with, and that's what chiropractic's been fighting for hundreds of years, is that understanding that we are built perfect. Once you're built perfect, that doesn't mean everything's going to go correctly, but we've been taught like exactly what he said. If it's all genetic, then what's the point? What's the point of any of that? Like if it's genetic and you're just, once your gene time comes up and the little ticker goes off, that's it. That should be it. That's, like as we go. One of the hardest parts of chiropractic philosophy is changing a mindset that we were born with. Like where we were born into the program, the subconscious program that we talk about all the time is this model that is created as we go. You go to the doctor when you're sick. The Band-Aid cures the cut, right? So what is the little kid? Like the littlest thing that happens is, our first instinct is what heals the cut. And then the youngest child of any age will say to you, the Band-Aid did, right? And that is where it starts. And so once we start teaching that it's unless we start saying our body is the thing that does that, the little cells of our body get to work and work on those little tiny things, then we understand that. And then you can see, why people that have grasped this concept, like Dr. Gold said, our bodies are designed for 120 years to 150 years of life. We're designed for 10 miles of walk every day. And are all of us getting that stuff? And that's the biggest hurdle. I think, I talk a lot about that subconscious programming, and we constantly go through that with positive mental attitude, those kind of things. But one of the things we're going to start diving deeper into this year, especially, is these deeper kind of harder, subconscious programs that we have to start understanding and pulling back on, right? So it's not, but you have to, it's so overwhelming to start a new program, right? So you're talking like this is like a big program. So when we're talking subconscious program, we're talking a huge one in this sense. It's not a golf swing. It's your entire how you approach the preventative side of your life, right? And so and a lot of times when you feel like a victim to your genes, those genes are will keep you as a victim, right? Or we can understand that our subconscious, we can make those changes. And as we start slowly doing those things, you're going to notice such a big difference. Like I always say, and the one reason I love the 1% concept is I see patients that get more out of an exercise 5 minutes a day that they can do, for a certain condition, right? I see them get more out of that than me beating them up for 2 hours, on this same type of thing. Yeah, you get the gain in the beginning or, those kind of things. But what do you have is a long lasting change that's going to be able to change that subconscious program? That's really what chiropractic's all about. We have to get to a point where we look at our bodies and say, everything is perfect in this human body. What can I do? What is interfering with that perfection? And once we do that, once we understand, get that deeper understanding of what that is, sometimes that takes an outside person. That's why I became a chiropractor, because my OCD nerd brain, there's so much to explore that you're constantly looking for these things, like, is it an environment thing? Is it you live, right next to a nuclear waste plant, right? So, or is it something you're eating? Is it something you're physically doing every day? All of these things lead to a different mindset as far as like, hey, I can do something about my health other than just palliative, what supportive care. And he said something so profound there. How many people, when they get diagnosed with a chronic condition, ever get over it? Name one. Because once we've created that chronic condition, we are taught, we are for sure saying, nope, you're done. The genetics have gotten you and it's over. And us chiropractors will fight like heck to never let you think that, because there's just too many things in this world. If you would have said to Jeremy 23 years ago that somebody would walk into my office and she would have massive results with COPD, I would have never said that. In all of this time frame, once we start understanding that, starting taking care of, and that wasn't just me. That was her understanding that her body's self-regulating. So what did we do? We said, all right, when you feel good, you got to start walking. You got to start doing stuff to actually allow that spine to stay in line so that you can keep these gains for more than, you'd have to get adjusted every day, right? So that's the thing. That's the key that I want you to take away tonight. And I know I talked way too much. I apologize. But I'm going to open it up because I had a few more videos. I want to hold them for next time because I want this to be like one of our Kickstarters in a big program that we're going to have to explore a few different times as we go. So I'm going to bring on, I want to see if Julie has any questions for me. I'll allow Julie to talk. If you guys ever want to, before this, remember, if you do, I'm going to put it in there, Tribe One. I'll put it in the comments in tribe1.substack.com. So it's tribe1.substack.com. And it's just an email list. It's free. You just get on there and I'll send you an email before Sunday. And then it has a Zoom link in there. And with that Zoom link, you can actually get on like Julie has done in the past too. And she asks a question if we want to. I really would love that to be our next, level of this 1% tribe where we can kind of just have a question and answer time too. So Julie, you got anything?
Yes, Jeremy, it was very difficult to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't hear most of it. Could you put a replay link this week and see if I can? The volume was just so low that I can't hear.
No,
Is it just me? That's my question. I don't know.
No, it's not you. It's the worker of the computer. I guarantee it is me. I guarantee it is not you. I was very worried about that when it started. And it was such an old. So Dr. Reggie Gold, I think, passed away in the 80s. So that was like a video of him back in the day. And so I will definitely put a replay on. I have been lax on the replays as well, so I'm going to try to make sure I punch out. That's the other thing. If you get on that website, if you get on that email list, you get a lot of the different replays, so you don't have to, like, if I bore you, you fall asleep, those kind of things on a Sunday night. I know it's perfect for me, but you may want to get on there. But yeah, a lot of times they're so worth the time to listen to those things, because once you met Dr. Gold or Dr. Chestnut, it is fantastic. And Dr. Chestnut's actually one of the ones that we're going to have at my house. We're going to actually have a seminar. It sounds like we're going to start with a 1-day tribe information that we go through. So I'm pretty pumped about that. See how the 1-day goes, and then maybe go on from there. So I'm pretty pumped. So, and I got a lot of doctors on board.
That would be wonderful, Jeremy. I would love to come.
Yeah. So right now, I'll tell you while you're here, Julie, because you probably don't have anything except for that sound thing. But we're gonna do herbals. We're gonna do positive mental, like mind health, right? And then we're gonna actually do exercises, right? And our first topic is going to be anti-inflammation. So it's going to be funny because we're going to do movement patterns, right? So people are like, movements for anti-inflammatory. There is, and so
yes, there is.
That can be fantastic to kind of concentrate. So because inflammation's such a big deal, that'll be our first one, so it'll be pretty fun. I can't wait. So we're pretty.
When's it going to be?
We want to do it in the summer sometime.
Okay.
Because that makes my yard nice. and we got chickens. So I got to make sure the chickens are like they don't peck anybody, or it's our new thing. I should show you, Julie, what we got going. It's got 6 little chickens. I think one's a warhawk. That's what I keep telling the kids. Every other one is small, and there's this one. I'm like, kids, do you think it was a bald eagle they stuck in there? Because that one looks a little nefarious.
Depending on where you got it, they could have stuck a weird one in there. You never know.
Right. So we'll see how this goes. But my hope is our conference will be going on in the background while all these chickens are like checking out your guys' car and stuff. So that will be good. So, but yes, thank you for that. I appreciate the feedback on the volume thing. I knew I'll figure that out as we go. I'll probably practice a little bit more because most of my videos are low, aren't they? Typically, Julie, would you say?
Yeah, even you are low. You could be a little louder.
How about that? Does that do anything?
No change.
No change. Okay. That's what I got to figure out. Maybe I have to do this. Is that different? Test. What do you think?
Same.
Okay. So we'll be working on that. I will figure that out. It's something technical, I'm sure. So anyway, I love you all. Thank you for hanging in there tonight, and you guys have a great week. Remember that chiropractic stuff. Nature needs no help.